Do you not have a target for the initial decision?
So
at the moment...
Imagine one straightforward question tearing down the polished shield of an experienced politician.
Time. And as the Home Secretary was saying, there'll always be a level of what we call unworkable cases in that system, people who are up for trial or something. So until we have got through that backlog.
At a parliamentary committee, Yvette Cooper was pressed on something every taxpayer deserves to know, but her answer, or rather the lack of one, shifted the atmosphere entirely.
And expect that to continue to come down over the coming months as well.
What's the target on that? What are you looking at with regard to the initial decision? When should that be made and by what time?
So I was just scrolling through my pages that maybe that excellent. The number with initial decisions are more than double.
No clear figures, no set deadline, just circles and sidesteps. And the longer she spoke, the clearer the unease became. Today we'll break down not only what was said, but what was avoided and why it exposes one of the biggest weaknesses in Britain's asylum system. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
There are something like 250,000 asylum seekers in the system at the moment. I know you inherited this backlog, but when are you expecting to clear it?
So we've already had a significant drop in the number of people waiting an initial decision. So the we've speeded up decisions very substantially since the election, including speeding up the initial decisions, including also taking action as part of the Border and Security and Asylum Bill to introduce statutory timetables for appeals. Because whilst we can make substantial progress on the initial decisions, and we are doing so on those, and expect that to continue to come down over the coming months as well.
What's the target on that? What are you looking at with regard to the initial decision? When should that be made and by what time?
So I was just scrolling through my pages that maybe that excellent. The number with initial decisions are more than double those in the 3 months before the election, in the period of January to March. We're going to continue with that high level of decision making, and that should bring the initial decision making down. There's obviously a certain point at which the process, it just becomes the number of people, the time it takes then for process decisions to go through the system.
Though? What's that target to make an initial decision?
So,
what's the time target, the duration?
So we expect over the course of this year, and certainly over the course of the next 6 months, to lead to a very substantial drop in the level of initial decision making, or the backlog on initial decision making. But if we don't have this legislation go through on the appeal system, then we will still end up with long, unacceptable delays in the system. So we're introducing the statutory timetable for making appeals decisions so that we can also speed things through, both for initial decisions and then to have the appeals decisions also speeded up as well.
I'll answer my question though about a target for the initial decision. Do you not have a target for the initial decision?
So at the moment, we are still working through a backlog of cases that have been in the system for a considerable amount of time. And as the Home Secretary was saying, there'll always be a level of what we call unworkable cases in that system, people who are up for trial or something. So until we have got through that backlog, which will be of longer cases, that when we've still got about a third of cases that have been in the system for longer than a year, which goes back to the delays last year through the IMA. We need to work through all of that in order to then establish the rhythm and whether or not we're going to put some sort of target service level agreement around initial decisions.
The backlog's down to 79,000 in the most recent figures. Actually, it's continued to fall since then. Those are the most recent published figures, and that in itself was a 13% drop on the previous quarter. So that's the pace at which we're making decisions at the moment. We will continue to make initial decisions at that current pace, but we also need to make sure that we speed up the appeals as well.
I understand all of that. Why are you resistant to actually declare that you have a target for the initial decision to be made? Or why is that so difficult? You're going for a target for appeals period, so why are you reluctant to
You mean
a
a timetable?
target? How long should it take
Yeah.
for the decision to be made?
Look, well, so part of the reason for that is because the new system, we are going to set out further reforms to the asylum system, but one of the things that I have always been keen to do is to have a system for fast-track decisions and appeals, so that for people, if people arrive from predominantly safe countries, actually they shouldn't be sitting in the asylum system for a long time at all. We should be able to take those decisions really fast, be able to take those decisions, make sure that they go through the appeal system really fast, and then also make sure that they are returned really quickly as well. So that would mean a fast-track system alongside the main asylum system. I think that would be really important in terms of making sure that the system is fair. That will require legislation in order to be able to do that, as well as new system design. So part of the reason, I do understand the question that you're asking, but part of the reason is because I actually think there should be faster tracks for those cases so that we can get those through the system really quickly, really within a matter of months.
And when are we talking about this legislation? I understand the reason why we need such fast tracks. What are we talking about?
So the first phase of legislation that we've introduced in this area is the Border Security Act. That obviously brings in the counter-terrorism powers in terms of tackling the small boats and the criminal gangs. Does also include some measures around this, including the statutory timetable on appeals. We do want to bring forward further legislation. We will announce further measures on this as soon as we are able to, and I will update the committee as soon as I can.
That's why it's so important we keep asking the questions they'd rather dodge. If you value holding our politicians to account, give this video a like, share it with your mates, and make sure you're subscribed with the bell switched on. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Yvette Cooper genuinely doesn't know, or is she simply refusing to say?